Hi, everyone. Dr. Justin Golston here. Today we have the team at ClimateTrade. Me and Chief go way back. We go back to the TEDx stage days back in Florida. So Chief, can you kick us off and introduce everyone, and including yourself?
Yes, absolutely. My name's Shannon Cherry. A lot of my friends and colleagues call me Chief or Chief Cherry. Justin, so great to see you once again. We've got a great history together through TEDx and through being presenters in that organization. And I thoroughly enjoyed your topic on blockchain technology in TEDx Cocoa Beach a few years ago. So I really appreciate you inviting us on this call. I'm actually the director of sales with an emphasis on aviation at ClimateTrade here in the US. So I'm working with partnerships and just really working on clients in airlines, aviation, airports, that industry. And of course, everyone else as well. That's just my focus. But today, what I really wanted to bring is really the CEO and one of the founders of ClimateTrade, just an amazing person. He's got a great story, and just really one of the biggest reasons why I came on board, why I'm here today, and just doing awesome things in this space, right? With climate, with carbon offsets, with blockchain technology. Without further ado, I want to introduce to you Fran.
Thank you so much, Shannon.
CEO. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and thanks, Justin, for hosting us, for having us here. It's a pleasure, and it's mutual, Shannon. It's like working together, and you have a strong background, and we are very proud to have you in the organization. So thanks for having us, Justin, and to having ClimateTrade today.
Yeah. Thanks for coming. So Fran, can you just get us started and just talk about what you all are doing within the climate space, and how you're actually integrating that within, or leveraging blockchain to integrate that?
Yeah, sure. Well, basically, ClimateTrade is a marketplace where, since its inception, we try to create the leading marketplace in terms of supply, user experience, and bringing to the companies, SMEs, not only corporations, but also SMEs, but at the end, also citizens, individuals that want to do something against climate change, the possibility of accessing in a very clear, transparent way some of the biggest projects worldwide and some of the biggest supply of projects. So today we are the marketplace with more projects in terms of carbon markets, but not only carbon credits, but also biodiversity, plastics, energy, other things that are solutions for climate change that need funding as well, right? So we thought when we started with the project, and there's a long story behind that, I don't know, it doesn't come to the moment, but we started with thinking, okay, if the natural markets like the natural capital markets and climate markets are based basically OTC, are 80-90% OTC today. They are worked by brokers. How can we provide some transparency and traceability out of this? And we thought on using blockchain technology, but it was a clear use case on providing real data of the transactions to the end user, the people that was buying. Because today you can go to get a flight and offsetting your carbon of the flight, but you don't really know if your money is going to the developer of the project they are saying they are bringing your money to, and you don't have full transparency of how much is the cut of the guy that is buying providing you the offsets, or for real, if the offsets are for real or not. They can say they are for real, but you don't know if they are canceled or not in the registry. Are there. So ClimateTrade uses that blockchain technology. It was like the first company to do it in the world. In 2018, we were awarded by the UN by this. And basically, we've been evolving through our API to keep constantly innovating in terms of connecting our marketplace to registries, bring transaction in kilos, not only in tons, which was normally something done. And blockchain for us as a ClimateTrade, it is a source of transparency and traceability for the end user, right? It is a tool to provide that.
Interesting. So can you expand on this API integration a little bit? I know some of it's proprietary, but can you share some information that you can share about
Of
this
course, man.
integration?
No,
Because
it's public, so it's public. So I mean, anyone that wants to enter ClimateTrade can go to market.climatetrade.com, and is fully open to any user. And basically, our API, it was something that I came up with the idea. I was getting a flight to the COP in Bonn, I think it was 2018. I was making a speech there, and I got a Ryanair flight. I paid €5 for my carbon footprint offsetting, and basically I didn't receive any certificate, any email. I didn't know where my money was going at all. And I thought, okay, why €5? Which is my carbon footprint? Where my money is going? And I said, we have to make that totally the opposite. We have to provide full transparency, because we are also in the age of transparency, right? So bring full transparency to the end user, and that's what we brought. So we certified in blockchain every transaction. And that's how the API was created. So today we have more than 35 integrations, more use cases than anyone worldwide. And I can put you examples of what we do with the API. We calculate and offset end user transactions. So whenever you go to buy a product or service in some of the companies we work with, we calculate the carbon footprint of the product you are buying. Then you buy it, you can offset the product, and then you receive a certificate that accreditates where your money is going, which project you are investing, and all that. No, and put your examples. In Spain, there is a company called Cabify, which is the Uber of, you can call it like the Uber of Spain and Latin America. So every ride you make with them, they charge you a sustainability fee. That's ClimateTrade. So basically, every ride that you make with them, we calculate real time the CO2 of that ride. You pay a sustainability fee, and then we issue a certificate for you as Justin Goldstone for your ride with the CO2 and how much money you paid and to which project is going. Last year, it was like more than 300,000 transactions of certificates coming from that. And that's only for B2B. Now we are doing it for every single transaction of Cabify. We did same thing with Santander Bank for credit cards. So now with MasterCard and Santander, we made a project where it is already live in Spain, now to Portugal, then to Brazil and worldwide. When you pay with your credit card, we calculate the payments with your credit card, and you can offset it. You can offset them. Same thing with gas stations when you refill your car. Same thing for cargo shipping, transportation, any other sector that you may imagine. And that's why Shannon is targeting the airline sector. We provide transparency and traceability through the API to all the airline companies.
Interesting. So yeah, you got some interesting stuff going on. So what type of response have you been receiving from businesses, from consumers, and if possible, what type of feedback have you been receiving from policymakers, on the solution?
Well, okay, going for the different users, in B2B has been some very strong work of evangelizing from the beginning. So we started in 2018, but our first customers started in 2019. We didn't start in the best country like Spain. It was not the most mature market. France was more advanced in sustainability. Nordic countries, Germany. But we led the way of the transformation in Spain towards sustainability. Companies that now they change the narrative in the market, like companies understand better sustainability. They have some regulations going on in Europe, as you know, there are like reporting regulations and all that. So companies are open to do this. They have targets of becoming net zero before 2050. So they have to offset, they have to buy these projects. So what we provide is a tool in order to, offset, but offset generating positive impact, which is what I'm trying to pursue, right? I don't want you to make greenwashing of what you're doing. I mean, I want you to generate impact on what the money you are spending. So companies are very receptive. And now we want to do the same we did in Spain and in the other countries we are present. Like we just entered in a new market in Germany, Switzerland, and Austria, in the DACH region. And we reincorporate, we are a US corporation now. So we are like growing and building our efforts in the country. And so that from the perspective of B2B. B2C, as you were saying before, it needs to be a little bit more educated on why to buy offset, because there is a lot of misunderstandings. There is a lot of not ignorance, but not too much knowledge on why they are offsets needed. I mean, and I always put the same example. If we, as three, we go and we reforest, we make a reforestation, we have to put out money, right, at work. If we go to the bank is going to say, how are you going to pay me back? Are you going to sell the wood of the trees? How are you going to pay me back? And that's why the carbon markets are so good, because that's a collateral that you can use to fund your project. And then you receive money for doing good for the planet. That's the beauty of the carbon markets. That's why they should be useful if you do it properly. Because there are people that obviously, like in any market, in any business, they do bribery. We saw in the TV, in the news, people conserving areas that didn't need to be conserved. There was a hunting area of a friend. They were just saying, I'm going to make a little bit of money here because I have these trees that they are not under any threat. And they just started to generate credits out of that. So that's why new tools, new blockchain is important for this, because it provides transparency, and new tools are coming to say, hey, this project generates carbon credits, but it generates carbon credits because of, so because it generates impact. And that's why the end user needs to be educated. I agree. And I think that the mindset of all of us has changed a little bit more after COVID. So people, I don't think there are too many. I mean, the percentage of deniers of climate change are being reduced, are coming down every time more, because I think that we all know that something is wrong, right? And at least what we want is, hey, let's do something about it, right? Every time more. And if I can round up my purchase when I buy something and I put that money towards the climate, that's not too much pain for me, and I'm doing a good thing for the planet. And institutionally, as the third part you were asking, in terms of the institutional and the governments and all that, we've been having we have a lot of good acceptance by governments, especially in Latin America, where we closed an agreement with 35 countries to generate regenerative agriculture projects. So we are working with an organization called ICA, which is the Institute for Agriculture. So we will be issuing carbon credits for regenerative agriculture for rice, for coffee, and for cocoa in the coming years. And we are doing projects also because we don't want to be only like the trader or like the marketplace where to trade. We want to impulse projects that need funding at the origin, because maybe they don't have the money to generate the carbon credits to be sold later. They need the funding initially. So ClimateTrade, you can impulse and you can invest in projects that are in the initial stages as well.
Very interesting. So do you think, so, it's my thought that, if we educate the consumers of the importance of this, they're going to provide additional pressure for these organizations to use solutions such as ClimateTrade, because the consumers aren't going to be the users of a lot of these solutions like carbon offsets and things like that. It's going to be the organizations, but the consumers are going to be the drivers to force organizations to do it.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
So what's your thoughts on that?
Look, I think that there are companies that are doing great on applying like their solutions to the end users, and I put you example. The other day we work with 3 companies that provide plastic taken out of the ocean, and they call it plastic credits. But they just don't sell the plastic credits. They use that plastic making products. So they are making furniture, they are making like tables, they are making like benches, they are making chairs, they are making different things with that plastic coming out of the ocean. You buy the plastic credit, but then the company is using it to produce products, so which is great, right? So there's a whole circular economy. So we want to try to do something similar with the carbon credits that here, right? So imagine, and at this point, there are different initiatives, and I put you, for example, the other day we were talking about, I'm a runner, no? So I want to normally use, I was using Nike shoes, and I went the other day and said, well, lately they are not that comfortable. I need to maybe change. And I went to the store and I saw the Adidas were all made with plastic out of the ocean. And they were really looking very nice, super comfortable, and at the same time was plastic out of the ocean. Boom, I changed brand like that. So Nike now has to, or other brands are gonna say, okay, I need to follow this trend. So we are changing with our, like, consumers changing the way the market works and the decision, because they are prosumers. They are not consumers, they are prosumers now. They decide, they make the companies to make decisions based on that, right? So I think it's really relevant that we put all connected, like that circular economy in our, and that's something is happening.
Mm. You just created a journal article title for me, prosumers. I like that. That one's pretty awesome. That one's pretty awesome. So you know what, so based on what you've seen, what do you think will be some of the drawbacks and challenges for the tracking and tracing of, you know, carbon? Let me back up. So going back to what you said about the shoes and how we can use carbon, Deborah Dole in the previous interview said that, you know, some organizations are in the early stages of capturing carbon on trucks and create those, you know, carbon blocks. It's expensive now, but they're just trying to just gauge it out to like trade carbon blocks, and they're going to take that carbon, that trapped carbon, and then start to build buildings with it, right? Yes, it might be 3 or 4 years for that, but we're in the early stages now to track all that carbon from all these trucks and do that. So that's just one thing, you know, as compared to the shoes. But
and I put you, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, but no, go ahead and respond, because I have a question after that.
No, look, we are working with a company coming from the MIT, friend of mine who was an MIT under 35. He created a carbon capturing solution with microalgae, is patented. So he modified genetically the algae so it captures CO2, nitrogen, and suspended particles. Suspended particles are more important even. Imagine methane, you know, it's more contaminant than CO2. Suspended particles are some of the causes of the biggest health problems in the cities, right? Because this is what you breathe. So these trees capture CO2 like 365 natural trees. You put them in the streets, in the places that you cannot put the trees, and then you get the tubes out of microalgae. There is a reactor that brings the air through that. The algae makes the process of photosynthesis. It grows. And every 3 months, you take off the tubes, you take the algae, and you make compost for the plants. So imagine, I mean, and there are processes like in New York, people don't know, New York City has a program that is forcing every restaurant, the rest of the food has to go to a program that they pick up every day, and they make compost for the plants, for farmers. How much waste do we throw out of the restaurants in Miami, in Florida, and everywhere, that goes to generate methane emissions in a big scale? Amazing, no? So why don't we get that good practices and we get solutions that can be circular economy for all of us, no? And that's something, no? So with the algae is another thing, but imagine hemp. They are doing now with hemp. It's a super carbon capturing plant that we are working on a new methodology for that. And you get the hemp, and you create hempcrete. You can build hempcrete for the houses, you know? So, I mean, there are a lot of things like the CO2 you were talking about, no? I mean, that's exactly the type of things that we have to be doing.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for that. I have an hour and a half of discussion on those types of things, but you know, and I would say my last question would be, what are the drawbacks and challenges to tracking carbon emissions, carbon offsets, carbon credits on the blockchain based on what you've seen, given that you've all, began this journey?
Okay, that's a good one, and a complicated one, but to go in deep. But basically, we have a lot of IoT devices that are coming at different satellites, drones, and let's say tools to analyze the soil and different components. So I mean, at the end, we have the good part. We have a lot of electronics and a lot of technology that we can connect to each other. We have digital MRBs. We built the first digital MRB worldwide, and last year, well, at the same time that another is a good friend of us is doing a great job on digital MRB. We created one. We connected to a registry. We included a certification company in the middle, and we created real-time carbon credits from solar. It was a POC because. But we did it with solar plant because you had a smart metering there. But we created real-time carbon credits, we certified, we registered, and we put it on sale on ClimateTrade, and they were sold immediately and canceled in the registry and issued the certificate. So there are, the beauty of this is everything was blockchain traced, the whole process. Since generation from the plant, it was a solar plant in a lake in Spain. So we got all the data from there, we generated the carbon credit, everything in real time, and it was sold in real time at the same time. So what I'm trying to say, there are a lot of tools that we can use. The challenges that you're mentioning is like, how do you make that reputable, right? Because as you know, blockchain is great, but I mean, the data that you put in blockchain, it has to be reliable, it has to be reputable, right? Because if you put a data that is not reputable, yeah, it is public, but it's not good data. So the good source of data for being in the blockchain, it is if it comes from a device or something that is providing good data at the end, right? So if you have a smart metering in a solar plant approved by the state, government, county, whatever it is, has that smart metering has all the technical approvals and certifications of the market, why do I have to doubt of that data that a smart metering is providing? Then if I put that data in blockchain, that data is correct. I don't need someone to go to test it because it was tested before making the solar plant, right? So the data is accurate. That's the type of data. So that's the type of challenges. Who is the one that is deciding which data is good and which data is not right? So it has to be the technology, the IoT devices and all that we are using, but it has to be some frameworks or at least some guidance, some guides from organizations. But that's why come up different organizations. It's like reporting. Who tells how to report? Is it the government? No, there's task force worldwide, TFCD, telling task force for climate risk closure that they say, okay, or CDP, carbon disclosure project, it has to be like this. And the people start to use the same way of reporting. No? The company, at some point, the government will tell you, hey, it has to be like this. No? Like in the European Union, for example, you have all the regulation. But yeah, I mean, we need that because if not, you and I, we can go and say, okay, I'm putting this data, it is accurate because I say so. No, I mean, you cannot be judge and part, right? You have to be one thing or another, right?
Yeah.
I know if I explain myself.
Yeah, you did, and like so that's one question that I've had for a very long time. How long do you think it's going to take where we do have one? Yes, we do have standards, yes, we do have frameworks, but how long do you think it's going to take until we have one standard where all these standards come together and say, okay, yeah, this is the one we're all going to go with?
It won't be one standard, in my opinion. I mean, I think that it will be a standard of process with the minimums, of course. I mean, that's why the task force for voluntary markets, it was created. So the CCPs, I mean, they are trying to bring up like a whole, let's say, common process, common rules for everyone to use. So more and more standards are coming. Before it were 5, there were 5. Now more coming to the ground, and more technologies generating carbon credits, and they don't have a standard. They have just a blockchain, but it is certified by someone. But it is not a standard. It is a standard of process, right? How the guides on how to proceed with that. So I think that will be minimums to be reputable. And whenever you follow that, and you have that minimums of what a carbon credit has to be, yeah, I mean, that can take, I mean, we are already working on that. There are a lot of initiatives. So I wouldn't say a number of years, but I mean, there are already carbon credits being generated that doesn't have a standard behind, and it just in blockchain, right? Being generated from the source. We did it last year, and there was not a standard behind. It was a certification company, but it was all electronically made, right? So yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, that's really all the questions that I had. Do you have anything else that you would want to add? You want to let people know about ClimateTrade?
Well, I mean, that we are super excited to be now growing and accessing the US market with all the corporations here, helping to understand like that. I mean, not only this is about like offsetting is not something boring and that they have to do because they have to do it. It's something that can generate a positive impact, then be something very good for their organizations in terms of supporting projects. And at the same time, the consumers are going to be the ones that are going to be valuing a lot that efforts that they are doing now. So we want to provide all our expertise and our technology for the companies to be able to do something that matters for the planet.
Excellent. Excellent. So thank you all once again. Chief and Fran, where can everybody find you?
Shannon.
So, yeah, I'm located in Florida, but anybody that's interested in meeting with me, and I'm meeting with as many aviation folks from airlines and aerospace and airports as I can between now and the aviation festival in Miami that's coming up in a couple months. So trying to set up as many meetings as possible. Please email me. I'm shannon.cherry@climatetrade.com. That's SHANNON.CHERRY@climatetrade.com, or find me on LinkedIn, and I'd love to connect with you and Fran as well.
Likewise. In my case, I'm in Florida as well. It looks like we are in the Everglades here, but no, we are in Florida. And like my email is fran.benedito, BENEDITO @climatetrade.com, and also in LinkedIn is like good way also to find me. And yeah, to look at the marketplace, as I told before, market.climatetrade.com, and let us know any concern with any sector, any doubt, any concern that you have, and how you can bring your company in the right way towards sustainability.
All right. Thanks a lot for that. And
thank you, Justin.
I'll try to include all that information within the description and the comments on this video. And once again, thank you, everybody. And until next time.
Thank you so much, Justin. Thank you,
Thank
Fran.
you, Justin, man.
Yeah.